May I first ask if any of the witnesses on this panel served in Afghanistan?
I did not.
No.
No?
I traveled there as a civilian to do my OIG oversight work.
Okay. The reason I asked that question is because I think one important voice for a hearing like this is the men and women who served in Afghanistan and who worked closely with Afghan soldiers and intelligence operatives, very often very closely, very often with their security determined by the capability of their Afghan colleagues. And when the issue of Afghan resettlement came up, the voices that I heard the most were the voices of Rhode Islanders who had served in Afghanistan, other Americans who had served in Afghanistan, and whose message to us was, many of us owe our lives to these Afghan soldiers. We have a moral duty to protect them and to give them an opportunity to come to the United States and not leave them to the tender mercies of the Taliban. Do any of you disagree that the service of Afghan troops and intelligence professionals gave them some moral standing in an effort to relocate to the United States?
No.
Mr. Edelman does not disagree with that? Is that no, no, and no?
No.
Well, I happen to agree with you, and I wish that voice was more prevalent here. I've also been told, and if anybody cares to correct me in a response for the record, you're welcome to do so, but I've been told that the number of Afghans who have entered on parole into the United States under Operation Allies Welcome is 76,000. And that of those 76,000, as of a report from the Department of Homeland Security in December, 6 had been arrested. 76,000 brought into the United States, 6 have been arrested. By my count, more January 6th rioters pardoned by President Trump were arrested after the pardon than our Afghan allies brought into this country under Operation Allies Welcome. So I hope as we go forward, we consider what our obligation was to those Afghan soldiers and intelligence operatives, translators, IED technicians who served beside our troops, often protected them, sometimes at the cost of injury and loss of life to themselves. Particularly where the numbers, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but 6 out of 76,000 getting arrested, that's like less than 0.1%. We're not exactly dealing with this dangerous intrusion into our country when those are the actual numbers. So I wanted to make those points because I think a hearing like this should reflect the views of the Americans who served in all the different stages of our activities in Afghanistan from those earliest days when our special forces teams went in and charged around on horseback in the mountains, only able to operate because of the support of Afghan allies, all the way through until the departure from Afghanistan that was driven by a very unfortunate agreement entered into by President Trump.